How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Recycled Primates, where I wanted to share a quick little experiment, a project of mine that I think is going to be kind of fun and see what the results are and, inspire you. If you look at this and say, hey, that's really cool, but I think I could have done it better because I would have done it this way, do that, And if you have a YouTube channel, shoot a video and share it with everybody else. That's one of the things I want to do with this channel is inspire people to be creative, think outside the box, be resourceful, and, use ingenuity. Every material I'm using in this experiment, minus one thing, I already had around my house or my shop. So the one thing I had to buy only cost me $10. So this entire project only cost me $10. And it's to try and solve a problem with recording drums that's already been solved technically, but I want to try and solve it better. Let me explain what that is, because if you've ever recorded acoustic drums, real drums, you've likely run into a lot of problems, whether in a home studio or a professional studio. And I don't think it's necessarily because recording drums is difficult, because it's not. I think it's because how we look at drums, how we think about drums, and how we approach recording drums that's so convoluted that's where a lot of the problems stem from, is us overcomplicating things. But there is one issue that I think a lot of drummers run into, that and engineers run into, that I think is a legitimate issue, and it's something, again, it's been solved. I want to try and solve it better. But that's that kick drums are light. Almost anybody can take a standard 22-inch kick drum and pick it up with one hand. They're not heavy. So when you're playing it, and you're putting that force behind that pedal, you're going to have it moving. You're going to have it sliding and shifting. And that's going to affect, even if it doesn't slide, if it just does this, it's going to give a very soft or rubbery kind of feedback to the drummer. So a way to counteract that, to kind of combat that, is to take a 1-gallon can of paint and put it inside the kick drum. And a 1-gallon can of paint weighs about 12 pounds, so that puts a center mass in there that will keep that drum more stable and reduce, if not eliminate, that drum moving. And that way the drummer gets a much more firm tactile feedback and is able to really hit that drum and get good contact, better performance, and hopefully a better recording. There are some things I don't like about using a paint can. One is, if you have a standard 22-inch kick drum, that's 8 inches tall. Now you've just reduced your vertical mic placement to a span of 14 inches, actually even lower than that, because nobody's going to be miking right at the top of the shell. So you've now limited yourself a mic placement, and that's bad, because we all know shifting a mic just a quarter inch, half inch one direction changes the entire sound of what that mic is gathering. And anything that is limiting your ability to place a mic, to me, is not a good thing. The other thing is okay, maybe the mic is above it, but now this smooth metal surface is in that hemisphere pickup of that microphone. It's very likely that that's going to impart some type of sound that may or may not be a good thing. I think it would probably be not a good thing. It's not like putting a pillow in your kick drum. You're doing that, one, to actually change the sound of the kick drum, to control it, take away the resonance and make more punch. I'm a punk rock guy, so I like a real punch in the gut kind of kick drum sound. I don't want that kick drum real open and everything. But a pillow is a organic and fluffy, substrate, which is not really going to be potentially adding hard surfaces that are made of metal that could have a negative impact on the sound. I can't test that scientifically because there's too many variables, from repeatable mic placement. It's not possible taking the mic out and then putting it in there. I don't use a big enough porthole to be able to just slide a paint can in. I do the old coffee tin trick. So I have a 6-inch porthole on that kick drum, and if I take the head off and put it back on, I'm never going to get that head tuned the same. Even with a drum dial, it's not going to be the same, and the mic placement is going to be the same. So unfortunately, I can't do a scientific test to prove one way or the other if this is having a negative impact on the sonic characteristics of what you're recording. However, legends like Simon Phillips use and swear by the paint can trick, so I could just be chasing something that doesn't need to be chased. But I want to try and create a one-to-one analog that will give me that singular source of 12 pounds of weight that won't move, and therefore get the ability to hold that drum more stably, but be an organic substrate that's not going to interfere with the sound of my kick drum, or if it does interfere as minimally as possible and not with some pingy metals, you know. The solution to that is a sandbag. I thought about ankle weights, even if I took the actual weights out of the ankle weights, and you're going to have multiple things that you're going to have to tie together or duct tape together or this or that, and I don't really like that. Again, a paint can's like 12 pounds, and you generally can only, you're not going to find, a set of 12-pound ankle weights. At least I couldn't find any. I definitely couldn't even find 10-pound weights that I could just go pick up. And sandbags for lighting is usually 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. Again, now we're having multiple things that could shift around inside the kick drum. I want one solid source. So two things I can do, whether I actually use this 1-gallon Ziploc bag and some duct tape as the main pouch. I also have this dry bag, 10-liter dry bag. This is what cost me $10. So the idea is maybe put all the sand into this, then put it into here, and then tape it up or whatnot. Or I got some canvas. I'm probably going to make like a little pillowcase and slide this in or whatever and just have that weight. But I got to measure it so that even if it's long, it's no more than 5 3/4 inches in diameter, so that I can get it inside my kick drum and hopefully give me that low center of gravity, that weight that's going to keep that kick drum stable, as well as keep my pillow in a place so it's not moving in there and so forth. So yeah, let's see if I'm just ironically overthinking things and overcomplicating things, or if this is going to be something that will work, where I have a one-to-one analog that will be sonically and physically non-intrusive. All right, so I'm here in my shop and I am getting ready to weigh out the sand for the kick drum sandbag. This scale here unfortunately only goes up to 11 pounds. I need 12, so I'm going to do 2 batches of 6, and I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you need to go back to school. Let's go ahead and get this up, let it zero out. There we go. And I am going to sift the sand. All right, so there is our 12-pound bag of sand and a Ziploc freezer bag. As you can see, there's a pretty noticeable issue here, besides the fact that I can't zip it up. And that is that there's no way in hell that's going to fit into a 6-inch porthole, because again, I need it to not exceed 5 3/4 inches in diameter. So this is where the dry bag is going to come in. So having the dry bag completely packed down, That is probably only about 5 inches tall. Check this out. Yep, 4 3/4. All right, so after getting the dry bag filled with sand, brought it inside, I pressed it down to make sure that there was no air in it and tied it off, got the top rolled over, and then I used my handheld sewing machine with some upholstery thread to sew it shut across the seam. Because of that nylon belt, the handheld sewing machine struggled. I had a hard time. I had to do a couple passes and it was messy, but I got it to work. And then I also took some extra upholstery thread, a little bit heavier upholstery thread, and then I did a wraparound, sew on it by hand, and got that all sealed up. And then I finished it off with some cloth tape. This is hockey stick tape, and that way it just sealed right up. And this way it can go in and out of the kick drum hopefully really, really easily without having to worry about any spillage. All right, so I just finished testing the KickBag, as I call it, and obviously my opinion is going to be subjective, and there's really no way for you to tell from this video whether it's worth it to you or not. You're going to kind of just have to take my word for it to a degree, take it with a grain of salt, and ultimately decide, hey, is this worth the time to experiment with? Spoiler alert, in my opinion, yes, it is worth it. Not for me, but potentially for someone else. And here's why. It checks off pretty much every single box that I was attempting to find a solution for, of why I didn't like the paint can trick. It does a perfect replacement of having that singular source of 12-pound low center mass weight in the center of the kick drum to keep the kick drum from shifting as significantly as possible. Now, for me, having my kick drum on a area rug that's on a non-slip thick foam pad that's almost a 1/4 inch thick, that's then on heavy duty carpet, my kick drum already didn't move a lot to begin with. It still moved, but it was almost like it recoiled a little bit. It's not like it was sliding away from me or anything like that, or like shifting, but it did move a little bit. Having that in there, I noticed it most predominantly on the second kick hit, because on the second hit, on the first hit of both, I went, and then on the second one, I kept the beater pressed up against the head. Now, I really only do that when there's a pause in drumming, or it's the end of the drumming, whether it's just the end of the drumming in the song, or whether it's the end of the song, and it's more of that exclamation point of, it's over, you know? So that's the really only time I felt the extra weight being noticeable. Not significantly, but it was kind of there. It was like almost like the kick drum was just a little bit more solid. It didn't have that, kind of recoil of like pushing into the carpet and coming back. It shifted less into the carpet, so I felt less of that shift. So it does that. And I think for someone who's on a thinner rug, that may be on hardwood floor with those thinner, like almost beaded kind of non-slip pads, I think that it would definitely help maintain the kick drum in its place without shifting significantly, or even stop the kick drum from shifting. The other thing is that it has significantly less height to it, and it stays out of the way, so it doesn't restrict how far in or out I can put my mic, and it doesn't restrict how far up or down I can put my mic, or left or right. So it's not impeding on my microphone placement, which is extremely important to me because microphone placement is extremely important. The other thing is it is all organic, so to speak. I mean, I know that the nylon that the wet bag or the dry bag's made out of isn't organic, but it's not a sonically, reflective or sonically resonant sounding material. So it doesn't have a sonic impact. It stays out of the way. It doesn't impede my microphone placement, and it does the job of adding a singular point of weight. So it checks off all the boxes that I want it to do. I mean, it works. It's cool. I enjoy doing this, and I like experimenting like this. I mean, for me, $9.99 plus tax is all it cost me, plus maybe 30 minutes making it and testing it. And that's not a whole lot to pay to learn something new. So that's the whole point of this, right? Experimentation and having some fun. And we'll get into more experimentations in the future. Lots of really cool videos, things I've already done, and new stuff. But if you've made it this far, you're a rare breed, and I thank you for your time. And as always, since no one knows how YouTube works in 2026, we're going to go ahead and say, hey, if you've made it this far and you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give the thumbs up and like everything, and share and comment and subscribe and hit the notification bell and hype the video, and then don't forget to clip your toenails. Until the next video, take care.